And we're live, Mayor Jameson.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call this special meeting of council to order. You have before you a copy of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Councillor Groenewegen, seconded by Councillor Chambers. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Any declarations of interest? None being noted, we'll move on to item number 4, which is new business. The tender award for hazardous material removal. I'm going to pass it over to SEO Smith if he has anything to add, or maybe just a quick briefing on what we're doing. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. So the tender that's in front of council here is for the abatement work for the town hall. So it's not, doesn't include the demolition, but it's the actual environmental abatement work that that needs to be completed. We have a environmental project manager, Pinchin, that we've worked with identifying the requirements, technical requirements. 120-page tender document which outline details of the abatement work was presented through the RFP proposal. I think we had 12 proponents that picked up the package through our bids and tenders site, and four companies submitted bids, and that's presented in your package. The lowest bid was received by a company called Imperial Construction and Restoration. We've been in contact with them and the other opponents, confirmed Imperial's availability to complete the work this year, and working with Pinchin, and ensured that they understood, they are from the south area, sure they understood the climate and sub-zero temperatures and such. So we think we've done, their price did come in at 138,000, second closest was 158. It's under budget. We still need to complete the construction or demolition portion of the building within our $250,000 budget. So yeah, our recommendation to council is to move forward with the award to Imperial, and administration will start working on the construction or on the contract with that company.
Okay, I'll get a motion on the floor and we can look for questions from council. So we need a motion. Councillor Dewey, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of Town of Hay River awards the tender for hazardous material removal at 73 Woodland Drive, Old Town Hall and Fire Hall to Imperial Construction and Restoration.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Willows, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess my question is obvious and probably anticipated by the SAO. In terms of the evaluation, I mean, there's such a huge spread in the estimates. Can we assume through the evaluation process that everything, you know, we're comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges, and we're satisfied that this will meet all the sort of regulatory requirements to proceed with this organization? Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, as mentioned, we've, you know, a thorough presentation or thorough tendering document was prepared using our environmental engineering company, Pinchin. They've reviewed the proposals. Our Public Works Department has reviewed, and we followed up with the lowest bid proponent. We feel there's still the contract, which will ensure that the needs or the contract was understood and terms are understood. So we feel strong at this point with proceeding, and we have been in contact with the second closest bidder. They have indicated that if there is a problem through the contract stage, that they would be able to mobilize and complete the work.
Thank you. Further, Councillor Willis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one follow-up question. Is this company registered with WSCC in the north? And so they're good to go ahead and we'll be able to file those kind of remediation plans with WSCC?
SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. I'm not sure. I would have to look into that, but would ensure that any company, of course, that is doing operations up here, especially of this type, will be insured through the regulatory bodies here and have their licensing in place. So all of it would have been identified in the tender package as a requirement.
Councillor Groenewegen, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just had a question with respect. This is going back a little ways. At one point in time, when SAO Goucher was still with us, we had approved a certain sum to do, I think, basically an investigation of the asbestos, as well as exploring the potential for reusing the foundation. Now, I know that we had basically gotten some notice back about that, that Wallace informed us that that wouldn't be advantageous. But what my question really lies in, is this contract being based upon that report? And so, I mean, it has that information been provided to these bidders? Thank you.
SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. I probably can't speak too much to the history and what may have been discussed with the past SAO there, but my understanding is that the documents, and I think Pynchon was involved several years ago with the project. So there's, I suspect that information has come from several years ago. They have been on site to review the needs, and I know there was some questions before about potentially reusing the foundation. I think the administration identified some concerns and recommendations to start new with a whole new removal of the foundation, so that we can have a blank slate towards even meeting our business requirements and some of the technical requirements that we're looking at as we approach the possibility of doing a near zero type building. Certainly that's what we're preparing to do for tendering, is to target some of that environmental dollars that could help support the construction of a new building, which there isn't. It's been difficult to identify other funds that might support a municipal office type building. So I'm hoping that somewhat answers your question, but I just don't have some of the history, and unfortunately we're even now without our director of public works, so I'm operating with the knowledge at some limited knowledge there.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? I do have one. We have separated this into two separate contracts, one for the abatement and one for the demolition. So I guess my question would be, what do we do if we don't have the demolition come in within budget? Do we have a backup plan there? Because I don't want to see a big mess downtown till we can come up at budget time with further funds, I guess, is a big concern for me. And to clarify, what does the contractor have to leave that site looking like when they're done? I mean, if we've removed windows and doors and it's a big mess, that would be a big concern for me. SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. From a budget perspective, I think we found that through the tendering process, at least we found value through what we're suggesting, recommending is the award to Imperial. So there is still remaining budget left. We have had some high level estimates on demolition costs. So we're hopeful that we will meet our budget. If anything, though, what we have done is I think we found good value for the abatement portion. There will be, separating the contract does a couple of things for us. One, it may actually equate to some improved values where we've actually had southern companies that have come back with a lower price point on the abatement and with a high level of experience. It does open up now the construction portion to companies that are local that couldn't do the abatement work. So I feel that we'll get good dollars for the demolition and open it up to a group of local companies that can complete the entire project themselves without partnerships at least.
Thank you.
Sorry, you probably had other questions there. The state of what it would look like afterwards, we will have to, there will be a period, or we're trying to minimize the period between abatement work and the actual demolition. So once this is approved, assuming it is approved, we will move forward as soon as possible towards getting the demolition contract awarded so that it's out before the abatement's completed. And yeah, if there is a need, I think we should recognize that, this time of year, windows taken out, things like that through the abatement, there might be some risks or maybe some risks of occupancy even. So we want to make sure that we secure the site. We may have some responsibilities around site security in between if there is a gap between abatement and demolition.
Councillor Willows, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just sort of following up on that timeline. Do we have when is the timeline for this to begin? And do we have a projected timeline for when demolition would begin?
SAO Smith?
Thank you, Your Worship. So if I'm recalling correctly, we're hoping to begin this before end of, as early as end of October, but into early November. The demolition we'll be scheduling again for the completion this year, but we will need to, of course, go through that process to firm up the contractual timelines and approval of that tender. Thank
you. I guess my final question would be, what does administration feel that this is going to look like once this project is completed? Is there going to be a big empty hole in the ground? Are they filling it in? Yeah, that would be a concern to, I believe, council and the residents of this community, that we're going to have to look at something that's horrendous for a long period of time. Thank you.
Yeah, so it was a question. Thanks, Your Worship. I think certainly through the demolition, we'll be removing all aspects, including the foundation, and we will want to fill it in just because of the uncertainty of the timelines for a new town hall as it is. So we do have it in our capital plan and starting design work now, but funding is the key variable with that project. And yeah, it could impact the schedule for when we actually are able to build.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? Councillor Willows, go ahead.
I don't know if I'm just sharp because I'm a new councillor or what, but I do have one follow-up question. So, I mean, I'm sure you've already considered this, but if we do the demolition this year, come spring, and I assume we will backfill, will we at least seed it if we have not secured funding for a rebuild, so it's not completely unsightly, to the community and visitors, et cetera, et cetera?
SAO Smith.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I think that we could, I'm not sure that we've thought about if there would be a turf or what the specifics would look like, but we'll probably, it wouldn't be part of the demolition contract, especially given the timing. So it would be something that, we can work towards getting a suitable kind of landscaping, I guess, to ensure that it's not unsightly.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Counselor Anderson, did you have any questions, concerns?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 5, Counselor Willows, new Counselor Willows.
Thank
Still
you.
old counselor.
Yeah, new counselor, oldest counselor. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Hope everybody has a great week and congratulations to y'all and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Thank you.